Before 4 a.m, two of Mary's neighbours heard a soft cry of murder, but since such cries were a common occurrence in the area, they both ignored it.
At 10:45 a.m. on the 9th of November 1888, Mary Kelly's landlord, John McCarthy, sent his assistant, Thomas Bowyer, round to number 13 Miller's Court to collect her overdue rent. Moments later, an ashen-faced Bowyer returned. "Governor," he stammered, "I knocked on the door. I could not make anyone answer. I looked through the window and saw a lot of blood." The two men hurried back to Miller's Court, where, looking through the broken window, John McCarthy gazed upon an horrific sight. The bedside table was covered with what appeared to be lumps of human flesh, and there, on the bed, barely recognizable as human, lay the mutilated body of Mary Kelly.
Soon, Inspectors Walter Dew and Walter Beck had arrived at the scene, and by 11:30 a.m, Inspector Aberline had joined them. But amazingly, it would be another 2 hours before any of them entered Mary Kelly's room.
There was a delay between Mary Kelly's body being discovered by Thomas Bowyer, who'd gone there to collect the rent, and the police actually entering the room, because somebody mistakenly believed that bloodhounds were going to be brought to the scene. And in fact they weren't, but they didn't know that. And it was only when a senior officer came along and said that there were going to be no bloodhounds that the police finally forced the door and entered the room.
They couldn't actually get into the room because for some reason they thought the murderer must have had the key and locked the door. So in fact, when the people actually got into the room, they actually had to knock it down with an axe. They had to use a pickaxe to get into the room.
John McCarthy, Mary Kelly's landlord, was no doubt giving vent to the feelings of all who witnessed the bloody carnage inside number 13 Miller's Court, when later that day he told a reporter, "The sight that we saw, I cannot drive away from my mind. It looked more like the work of a devil than the work of a man. The whole scene is more than I can describe. I hope I may never see such a sight again."
Mary Kelly had her throat cut from left to right back to the spinal column, just like the other victims. She was stabbed, ripped up from the rectum to the breastbone, disemboweled, various organs were taken away. Apart from her body, her face was almost hacked beyond recognition. Her ears were cut off, her nose, her eyebrows, her lips. Complete disfigurement of the corpse took place in Miller's Court.